All right, I got to say it. The Falcons need to fire Raheem Morris. This team is too good and too talented to be having these kind of performances week in and week out. The Falcons are officially 3-6 on the season, and they've just lost 4 in a row. And there's just no reason why this team should be 3-6. I understand you get some bad breaks during the season. The Colts game, the most recent one, it was a heartbreaker. Jonathan Taylor had a historic game. They played hard in Germany. They got the L. But the loss wouldn't mean so much if you would have just handled business earlier in the season, which they haven't been doing. And it's just a rinse and repeat with this team. They look good one week. You feel like you can trust them. The next week, they look like a completely different team. And it's like they didn't even come prepared to play. Mind you, they play the Carolina Panthers this week. I don't know what team I'm going to get. I don't know if I'm going to get that team that we saw in week 2 against the Minnesota Vikings that dominated on defense, or I'm going to get the team that got blown out 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. And I was excited for Raheem Morris. He seemed like a player's coach because all the players loved him. You know that he was going to have his defense on lock with Atlanta. And honestly, you would think that would be their problem, but it's really not. And that's why it leads me to believe that it's coaching. Something needs to change. And these signs date all the way back to last year. Mind you, last year, the Falcons got off to a red-hot start. 6-3 to start last year. You want to know what the Falcons did in their last 8 games? 2-6 to end the season. Now, you can argue that Kirk Cousins had a big part in that, but I come back to the last game of the season. You're playing the Carolina Panthers at home. Mind you, this is the 4-12 Carolina Panthers, and you lose in overtime to Bryce Young and the Panthers. Now, they needed other things to happen to get into the playoffs, so they didn't control their destiny because they went 2-6 to end the season. But still, they didn't even handle their business. Let's take it back to the 2024 season where the Saints, the 2-7 Saints, are hosting the 6-3 Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are riding high. But guess what? The Falcons lose that game. You just can't lose games like this. Now you fast forward to this season, the 2025 season. You guys remember in week 2 where they completely embarrassed the Minnesota Vikings? JJ McCarthy looked like a shell of himself. The Atlanta defense was playing amazing. Their 2 rookies were shining. Shit, all their rookies were shining on their defense. They get the 0-2 Carolina Panthers. Guess what the Falcons do? They get beat 30-0. But don't worry, because this is where the Falcons get weird. They wind up winning 2 games in a row after this. And they wind up beating the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. And we're all thinking, here come the Falcons. The Falcons looked amazing. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, the defense playing amazing. Top 10 defense. Guess what they do? They're playing the banged up San Francisco 49ers and get beat on Sunday Night Football. But wait, there's more. Then they get a home game against the Miami Dolphins, who have not been good this season. They get beat 34-10, and Tua winds up throwing 4 touchdowns. This is the Raheem Morris era, and it's unacceptable. I feel like somebody needs to pay the consequences for this, because I honestly don't think it's the talent. These are coaching issues. You need to have your team ready to go. You cannot put up performances like this. Like, if you really look at it, the Falcons have multiple first-round picks on their defense with Jalen Walker, James Pierce. They have a first-round receiver in Drake London, a first-round quarterback in Michael Penix, and a first-round tight end in Kyle Pitts once upon a time. Plus, they have a first-round running back. Arguably the best running back. Now, I know just because those players got picked in the first round doesn't mean that they're great. But some of those players are definitely impact players. So it's not like he has a roster that's not ready to win. Look, the Falcons have currently lost 4 games in a row. And the next 3 games are crucial for this Atlanta team if they want any chance of making the playoffs, which I don't think they are. But I tell you one thing. Raheem Morris has to win these 3 games. They play Carolina, New Orleans, and the New York Jets. If they somehow go 1-2, or God forbid 0-3, you need to fire this man. and they need to turn that page. You have a lot of players on rookie contracts, cheap contracts. The time to win is now. You can't have the performances of putting up goose eggs against the Carolina Panthers 30-0. It can't happen. And like I said, I'm not an Atlanta Falcon fan. This is completely being unbiased. It's just me from the outside looking in. This team has way too much talent, and it shows. They arguably have a top 10 offense and top 10 defense. I'm pretty sure they're ranked in the top 10 on defense for sure. And I like so many of their players. They draft extremely well, but it's just more of a reason why to capitalize on wins right now. And this season is probably going to be a loss, but you need to get the right man in there. Raheem Morris is not the right man for this job. If I was them, I would probably get an offensive-minded head coach, just because of the pure talent that they have on offense. And those guys' potential just can't be wasted. You need to capitalize on that. You need to see if Michael Penix is the guy. We know Drake London is a stud. We know Bijan Robinson's a stud. I think we need to start looking at Raheem Morris. And honestly, Raheem Morris is a great defensive coordinator. I think if he winds up getting fired and he goes somewhere else, I would love for a team to hire him as a defensive coordinator. Some guys are meant to be coordinators and not head coaches, and that's perfectly fine. Raheem Morris might be one of those guys. But as always, what do you guys think? Should the Falcons keep Raheem Morris or should they fire him? Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like this video. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.